Recording now. Hello, everyone. This time of week yet again. Oh my goodness, it goes so. I say it every time because it really is going fast. Like Joyce,
it goes crazy fast.
It does, and I don't know what I was looking it up, Rodine, but I think we've already done about 11 or 12 of these. So we've been going for nearly 4 months.
Wow, it doesn't feel that long at all.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it? And I say this every time, so. If people be going, God, doesn't she have anything else to say? Yes, I do actually, lots to say. So welcome today. Rodine and I are going to be talking about 5 ways.
At least, maybe more.
I have a suspicion it will be more. A step to overcome creative block. Because, those of you who watch us regularly or every now and again pop in know that we love to chat and share. And I think, Rodine, as you said, you popped in there, anyone who's watching or replay, please add what else you think. So,
yes. Here we go.
Here we go. I was thinking about it too, because a part of it is writing my memoir, but it can also be in all areas of our lives, where we get blocks. Now, I was thinking about, running a business. You might get a block on what posts to write or how to write a sales page or how to communicate with clients. Sometimes, you get these blocks happen. And you've been doing art longer than me, but what are your thoughts? I think it's normal to have a block, isn't it?
I agree. I think it is normal to have a block. Sometimes I think it's maybe less of a block and more of a, you need to just rest, do some cocooning, especially if you've kind of had a really productive time period. Sometimes it's just, we need to just step back and relax and enjoy and regroup, kind of, right? I call it cocooning. And I think sometimes we just need to do that. But sometimes it's also, I know for me, it's coming up against a challenge I'm maybe not sure how to deal with. And so then you're too much in your head and less in the doing, in the feeling of whatever you're working on. So there's my 2 cents about a block. And sometimes it is simply that, especially if you're trying something new and writing, I find I often will get writing blocks if you're working on something, right? Yes. And it's like, you really just can't kind of grasp what the next thing needs to be. So,
that's a really good point. Because I got this vision of, it's just suddenly your brain it's just too full. And it needs to be like cleared out, empty, decluttered, something like that. The image I got, because I know for me, I can go like the clappers, and that's part of the personality. And that's also because I talk a lot about trauma. I've been learning about this. It's all or nothing. You all in there or you're not. And I've noticed I do this. So when I was doing my learning about trauma and how it had affected me. So I was seeing the psychologist and I was doing courses and I was doing reading and I was doing this and doing that. And I was getting all my notes ready because I was doing a webinar on it, on how it affects running a business, because often we don't talk about that. And she was saying, I had all the paperwork around me and I was going really well. And then literally like, that was it, done.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't paused. I hadn't, like you said, cocooned. I love that. I hadn't done that. Then, of course, I don't know about you, if you in the past, or anyone, then I went into anxiety. Would it come back? Would I be able to complete it? Because I had, at that point, a deadline, because in this case, a self-imposed deadline.
Right.
So I felt pressured. So of course, then it became even more, so the whole thing sort of went a little bit out of control. Not a little bit, goes completely out of control,
Yeah. And then I kick into procrastination mode, right? Because I look at everything and I think, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to put this all back together now.
Yes, good point. Yes.
I'm just not going
that's right. Yeah, it's like you have a moment of just, I don't know, the word that's coming to mind seems a bit nothingness. Like, as you said, it's just like I look at it and I can't, it's like, okay,
Yep.
It just doesn't go. And I think that's where some of these steps come in, where what do you do? And it's about trust, and particularly if you've got a deadline, like you're doing an exhibition, or like when do decide to launch the book, I'll set a date. So if you've got that deadline, well, of course, you feel you can't pause and walk away.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure then.
There is a lot of pressure. So what can you do? So, well, number one, I think what you said. So how do you cocoon?
When I'm cocooning, honestly, I'm literally not really arting. I might be letting thoughts kind of bop around in my head, but I'm not really doing much on the art side. So that's cocooning. And then I look at other ways that I can support myself. So, and that usually means that you've been just kind of running, going, really busy. And so then it's just time to slow down a bit, pay attention to other things, like making myself a really nice dinner, right?
Yeah.
Having a bath before bed, and just little things like that, just to kind of refocus. So that's my cocooning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I do similar things. So when I was having a little look too, because I do look these things up just to see what other ideas. So yes, so step one is cocooning. And I think step two is, like you said, it is about stepping away. And either they said doing something different in your art. So you might do a different style, or you might just doodle, or something like that. Or like for me with the writing, I might go and do some journaling versus memoir writing. So you're doing something different. So basically you're switching. Yeah, you're changing it up, you're switching. The other thing, I was taught many, many years ago by a yoga teacher, and he said something like, and I've heard it since, of course, we become creatures of habit in every part of our lives. So I remember him saying to me, go home a different way. Because if you think about it, we automatically, we don't even think. So go home a different way. The other thing is, I've been also taught, like if you're doing art, use your non-dominant hand.
Yes, I have heard of that too. And that actually ties in. I think that's a part of the neuro art as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of that.
It is. I think so. And I think also taking you back into, they say, like a child, like, because it's interesting when you're using your non-dominant hand, you look, I have to say, when I've done it, the few times I have, because I still like to do things perfectly, man, there's my mind can't come in and tell me what to do, because it just won't happen.
No, you can't do it automatically. Like, you really have to put thought into what you're doing, because I've tried that with brushing my teeth. I think there might be easier things to try doing with your non-dominant hand. I don't know that I recommend trying brushing your teeth.
No, well, I have to say, does yours end up sort of like up, like outside up your cheek, and
Well, yes, and you kind of miss your mouth, and you wear it, and I don't know. That's an adventure. It is an adventure.
The other one is trying to put your trousers or pants on again with your other leg. It's really amazing how because I've been trying to put my tops on recently, because I have learned how to do my trousers and that, but trying to put top on. And it's interesting how even after a few months of doing it, I still, because my right hand is my dominant one, I still want to go with my right, not my left, because I've been doing that for for 60, well, not quite, because of course, but for all these years. And it's so ingrained in us to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think it's the other one they say is also, so number, I don't know how many we're on to now, but let's say 3, just is I found what was good was doing reflection on, well, who am I as a person? Why do I do it this way? You don't have to do that, but I find it quite interesting about my personality. I was talking, my mum had an lucid moment yesterday. Mum's, who's watching, is 95, and she doesn't have dementia as such, but she literally has nothing sparking in her mind. She's so present. She does recognize us. So often conversations, she's just, hi, darling, how are you? Nice to hear from you. Gotta go.
Right.
But yesterday I happened to mention to her about depression, which I wasn't going to, because I don't want her to worry, but at the moment she doesn't. She forgets anyhow. But she started to talk about her own and what she did to support herself, and we had the best conversation for 20 minutes. But something she did say was, coming back, she looked at me, she said, but you've always been able to do things, like, so I said, I've been doing this and this, and she said, you've always been able to do that. So it's like, upon reflection, it's like, how did I lose that, or how can I do it? Am I making sense, or am I going around in circles? So she said,
that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So if you think of how you have done that in the past, how did you do it? Like, to actually look at perhaps the steps, or
yes, that's right. And exactly looking at, had you been able to do it before? Because as I'm writing my memoir, something I'm writing about is, and we, as children, we instinctively know. Now, I have mentioned in previous ones that we lived in a violent home, and something I knew as a child, and Mum always trusted me. It was really amazing. I just knew when I needed to take a day off school. And this is when I was young, in primary school. Because I was too overwhelmed. So again, too overwhelmed, couldn't face going out. All I wanted to do was stay at the safety of home, because at that point Mum wasn't working, because in those days often they didn't. And Mum just knew, because she always knew that was good. I wasn't skiving, but I instinctively knew. So coming back to what you called it, cocooning.
You always knew when you needed to.
That's right. Then I lost that in adulthood. See, so many of us, we lose that because we see it as being lazy, not being productive, we're giving in. We don't see it anymore as that's what not only our minds need, but our bodies need. And I'd always go back to school the next day, ready to go back.
Yeah.
So it's, how do we so anyone who's watching, share if you knew you'd done something in the past and no longer do, or wanting to bring back in, because I think it's quite important to honor that.
Well, and maybe it all ties in under the same umbrella of cocooning or self-care, but I was thinking today of how, what are some things that I do to get out of a block? And oh shoot, and it just went, wait. Oh, I was just thinking movement too. Sometimes just to put on some music and just dance around the house, sing your little heart out, right? Be kind of silly, shake it up, move the energy, move the brain, refocus, re-energize. And I actually have been thinking about that, because I used to do that a lot, just naturally. Always had music on, dancing around, doing stuff. And the last couple of weeks, it's like, oh, why don't I?
Yeah.
And so that also ties in with the other little unblocking my creativity has been, of course, the neuro art that I've been doing, right?
Yes.
It's, I find I'm most energetic in the morning, but I can't, I have to get ready for work, right? So there are always things to do for that. And I can't just haul out paints and paint before. I haven't figured that one out. But these, I put on my music, I have my coffee, and I just sit and literally doodle and play with colors and the lines. And, for about half an hour, that's all it takes. And then I have a finished piece, which is also nice. And you and I have talked about this, and I don't know if it was in one of other shows, or if it was in our, behind the scenes chat. But there is something to be said about getting to complete something.
I think yes, exactly right. And there's a sense of achievement in that, isn't it? A real sense of yes.
Yeah.
And I know for me, it just lifts me up to be able to go back and go, right, I feel refreshed now. I feel refreshed. And I think another thing about movement is, this is what they're saying now, to help you release stress and trauma in embodiment, is movement, shaking things out, getting that happening. Particularly because I think we've spoken again in another one, is excitement of fear. The body doesn't often know the difference because they resonate in the same way.
Yeah.
So you could be having a fear response that you're not realizing, thinking it's excitement, which then can shut you off, block that. So this is coming back to that reflection, taking time to just learn. And I think, like you said, why is it we lose this instinct to know what we need to do as human beings? Like you said, you knew you danced, you just did it.
Yeah, just did it. Well, oh my gosh, this is a whole other rabbit hole. No. Why don't we do those things anymore? I think we can come up with 1,000,001 different reasons why we don't. But lately, I've also really been reflecting on the don't think, just do.
Yes.
Because I often think myself out of things.
Yes.
And with the new meditation thing that I've been doing, because it doesn't involve thinking and just focusing on the body and what the body feels like, I've been really thinking about that whole, we just analyze the snot out of everything. We think about everything instead of just, oh, I have to do this, and then just doing it, right?
Yes.
So all of those things that I used to just do, now when I go to just put on music, it seems like I'm analyzing that too. It's like, oh, for goodness sake, just pick a channel, like pick some music and put it on. If you don't like it, you can change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a little meander. Sorry, people.
No, but I like it because that's part of it. And I've been, again, sparking moments. Again, I think that's what we lose, because number one, society is all about being productive and being efficient and being effective and about results and, KPIs in business and, profit and loss and all that sort of stuff. So I think also coming back to trauma, I know looking back now, all I can see now is my through the trauma, I had like spaghetti. My everything was just so jumbled and mishmash that I had no capacity to think. So I lost sight of all the things that I did for myself because I was on this heightened alert, needing to feel safe. So that's why I then kept doing. So I didn't know how to slow down initially. Too scared. Because if I slowed down, something could happen. So it takes time to come back to, like you said, just doing something for the sake of doing it. But I think we get caught up in that doing in all areas. So whether you've had a bereavement or gone through a divorce or anything that's gone the other way, I think, again, anyone watching, I think a lot of us then lose that, because we want to, I know for me, so again, I can only speak about myself, is want to keep up appearances. You go into denial. Because you think, well, hang on, how did I end up here? Rather than honoring this is where I am and being able to just go with these intense emotions. But they can be scary, particularly with our society, because we don't know how to hold someone in the depth of despair and those deep emotions.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. So I think it is finding it. I mean, I know it sounds very simple to do, but coming back to what we were saying, doing something different, like driving a different way or, walking up the stairs, because often I go with my right, go with your left. It sounds that simple, but it actually isn't. And that's, so just even doing something like that, something, as you said, one small step, that's different. That'll bring it back. Like you said, movement.
Yeah.
I was told again, and I'd done it many years ago, again, if you're being creative, can you go to a coffee shop and perhaps doodle there? Or I sometimes take my laptop and write my memoir there, or take a book to read, or to get a different atmosphere, different thinking, a different, just being able to look around and see, look at what they're wearing, or, to get ideas and just be with people.
Yes. I used to do that when this was a long time ago, and you just reminded me of this. So a long time ago, I was I had received a grant to produce my first video short. And so I was working on the script, and I found that working at home, I just wasn't productive. So honestly, I would go up to just up the street to a local kind of restaurant / pub, and I would sit in the lounge, I'd have a beer, and I would just sit and write. And I just found something soothing about people around and the noises. I mean, you tune them out, they just become background noise. But there was something really, I guess, energizing about that. And so I like that suggestion of, if you can, doing it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's one. I just said, I think that's a really good one.
Yeah. Thinking, I think also, again, learning to know who you are. As a rule, I like silence. However, if I'm getting a block or I'm needing something else, then I go, because then the noise, like you said, you can block it out. And sometimes I actually concentrate, ironically, better, but I've made the decision to go and do that. It's just different input, different ideas, different way of looking at things, seeing, as I said, what people wear. You look at, I like that, or, that's giving me an idea, or I could put that together. So I like all that sort of, it's just being, and again, we're social, it's nice to be out in community sometimes, because it's easy also to hide too far. So again, it's learning, what would cocooning mean for you? Sometimes it might be just completely withdrawing. Sometimes it might be cocooning just in that sense of being with people, but still in your own space. So what else do you think we can think of?
Well, I wrote down, of course, there's always, the go-tos, the either breath work or meditation or something, just as a way to recenter. Those are always good, the standards.
Yeah.
What else? So I had said movement, and I mentioned dancing, but movement can also be that going for a walk. Being in nature is always good, right?
Yes,
I mean, if you're one of those people who re-energizes by water, or out in nature, trees, etc., then that's always a good one too.
Look, it is. And I just had a thought before I'm sure we've done many more than 5, but sometimes it's actually good to go with no agenda. Don't take your podcast, don't even perhaps take a pen and paper, or take it, but really just be in nature, or just be with what is, because that's something I also had to learn, was not to still be doing in the being, or still be listening and active, because that's something when I was teaching meditation, or I still do when I work with clients, is we still try and fill our days up. We've got to listen to, particularly if you're running a business, I've got to listen to podcasts. So when I go on my jog, or when I'm in the car, I should be listening to something. No. Why?
Yes.
Why not just have that time as reflection? So like if you're waiting to pick up children, I can listen to something. Why don't you just sit there for 5 minutes and just sit and just observe what's going on, and just what you're feeling? Or, that's often then when the ideas come up. That's when you go, now I know what I can do. That's when you can get resolutions, ideas, solutions, whatever. So that's another one, actually not doing anything. And I actually still find that quite difficult. Daydreaming. That's basically what it is, isn't it? Daydreaming.
Yeah. But that is that space where new ideas pop in, right? Like,
Yeah,
we need to create a space for them to come in for us.
that's right. That's right.
So
it's just about learning to do something different. If that feels too much, like it did for me initially, just do small things. Then you can go on to bigger things, and then it'll change. So yes. So anything else you'd like to add?
I think that was all of my big brain waves on this one.
Yeah, me too. I didn't have many more, because a lot of them, what they said was things that I think it's like, I thought, oh, well, I do that, I already do that. But then it was good as a reminder, because sometimes you think you're doing it and you're not.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we can do to support creative block, writing block, any sort of block, because let's face it, that I just think that's normal, and it's really is trusting it will come back. And I think it's, again, building that muscle of trust, that if I stop, because if you think about it, the more you push, in fact, that's when you make mistakes.
Yes.
That's when you're not as effective. Your mind's tired because you're stressed. So why is it that we feel we need to stay there and not just walk away?
Well, maybe because we feel like it is walking away versus taking a break, right?
Yes. I like that.
Now, and would that maybe even, I'll get ultra woo-woo, would that also maybe tie into scarcity mindset, right? If I don't continue doing this, it'll all be taken away.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. It'll all be, yes, that's right.
I'll forget how. I know I think that.
Yes.
And for those of you that are, that are artists, when you step away from your artwork and then you go back to it, like, I always have a bit of trepidation that what if I don't know how anymore, or
yes,
what if I can't, or and everything is just crap. So
and I think that's a really good point that you have, because will you get back into flow? Will you know how to do it again? So it brings up all those doubts, crippling doubts, and I'm not enough, and but if I keep going, I won't lose the momentum, not realizing you have already lost the momentum.
Yes. Well, and then often it's a bigger struggle, right? When you're trying to work and it's just not going the way that you feel it should.
Yeah.
Because you're out of flow and you're forcing.
Yep, that's right. And I suppose, again, I look at it when I'm still running a business, clearly my healing practice, but now I look back and realize, to my detriment, how for those few years I simply didn't know how to pause properly. And I made I made unwise decisions with the running of the business, my finances, all that, because I didn't know how to walk away. And in fact, interestingly enough, my accountant at the time told me numerous times, to step back. I just simply couldn't, because I thought, the momentum I've got, if I do that, will I lose what I had? When in fact now I should have stepped back, and it would have done me a whole lot of good. But at that point I was in fear. I was in such fear, because again, fear drives us. A lot of, if you look under, it's fear. So you've got to look at what fear do you have? Is it fear of failure, fear of success, fear of losing momentum, fear of not being creative anymore? Particularly like in my case, where I'm still new to creativity, and haven't quite found my style yet. Well, if I stop, what will I do? How will I do this? So all these little things come into play.
Yeah. And that's where then you just don't think, just do.
Exactly.
Whatever the do needs to be for you in that moment.
Exactly.
And I think that's also a key. Whatever that doing is, it may not be the creation piece in the way that you think it needs to be, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh gosh, and I think that you've just, oh gosh, see, we can keep going on. Because again, sometimes we create an expectation or an outcome, or it needs to be a certain way. And that is also can eventually create a block, because if it's not going that way, you don't know how to stop and walk away and just go, okay, I'm going to use the word failed. That failed, you know, but how can I learn from that? Because people often say, oh, there's no failure, there's only learning. Well, I disagree. There is failure and you can learn from it, because some things do fail. My business did fail. Did I learn from it in the end? Yes, I did, but not initially. So I think, again, it's that, oh, I've lost what I was going to say. So again, too much.
See, now too many things, right? It's like, woo.
That's right. So yeah, so it's just, everyone, just walk away, have the courage to do that. It's a muscle you do need to build. It does take practice, because you've got to learn to trust it will come back. And it does. It really, really does.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
It does.
It really, really does. So if anyone has any more ideas of what they do, please let us know, because it's always lovely to see what other people do and get new ideas and all the rest, because I know I can get a little bit stuck in my things, and I'm wanting to start, you know, sometimes doing things a bit differently.
It's always good to try something new. And hey, I'm sitting here doing neuro art and coloring, and I will be the first to tell you I'm not a coloring fan, gotta say, but I am loving this.
Well, look at what you've done in the last week. So yeah, look at that. I mean, wow. To think someone who can't do it, unbelievable.
Well, and who never liked color. I honestly, I had a problem. Ooh.
Yeah, so like you had a problem?
I just had a problem coloring in the lines. and here I am making a bunch of lines and coloring in the lines.
Yes. So you see, one can.
You can, and trying something different. Yeah, this has really just boosted me in such a nice way.
Yeah.
Like, so nice. So if you haven't tried morning doodles or whatever, I suggest give it a go. Or if you're blocked, give it a go. Just doodle. Oh,
just doodle.
Fun.
That's right. And oh, and again, one more thing. I was suggested, and again reminded with my memoir, someone taught me this years ago when we were learning about marketing and how to be in business. What's your best time of day? That can be as well. So I'm a morning girl. I have no doubt about that. To do intense things, writing and all that. Doodling, I can do any time of day. Whereas my marketing woman at the time, she preferred to stay up until midnight. Well, I'm well tucked in bed well before that. So again, it's about learning your best time of day, being able to remain focused, then step away and do some other things.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, look after yourself and have fun. I think that's it. Break it by having some fun.
And do some doodling.
That's right. Because that's what we're doing right now. And it is.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. And there's a real sense of completion and fun. And I'm doing the doodling also like you, but trying out different colors. I think I showed this one a while ago, whereas I just used different colors and I just popped a bit of green in there just because, you know, so
I'm having fun doing that too, right? Yeah. Just working with colors that you would normally work with.
That's right.
And you're not committed to it on a canvas. I like that too. It's just given me such a sense of freedom.
Yes. And that's another way of unbreaking the block, because like you said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, but you've given it a go.
Yeah.
You know? All right, everyone. Thank you for watching again.
Thank you
and
for joining us.
Yes, look forward to seeing you next week, and then we'll make a decision when we'll start again in the new year, or whether we'll let you know then as well. So thanks, Rodine.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chantal. Lovely as always.
It was, thank you. And you know, some of these ideas we can use through the festive season, or if you celebrate Christmas, just find some of these things where if you're having a moment, walk away and just do something different. Also looking after yourself and having that break, because it can get very intense at this time of year. So
yes, absolutely.
Do that too. Okay. Bye.
Bye, everybody.